Welcome to Daily Review, your daily dose of literary exploration. We dive into books that spark curiosity and ignite growth. While our passion often leads us to nonfiction reads that empower and improve your life, no book is off limits. From gripping thrillers to insightful memoirs and compelling fiction to historical accounts, we're here to share and discuss all the interesting reads we discover. Tune in for your next great book idea.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Daily Review. We truly appreciate you joining us for your daily dose of literary exploration. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue to share these amazing books with you.
If you're enjoying what you hear, please consider taking a moment to subscribe, rate, like, and comment on any of the platforms you're listening from. This really helps support our channel and allows us to get better and even more great content.
If today's review sparked your interest and you're ready to dive into a copy of the book, please consider using the link in our description to make your purchase. Not only does it make it easy for you to get your hands on the book, but it also directly supports our channel and the author, allowing us to keep bringing you more great content. Thanks again for being a part of the Daily Review community.
Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive into a really powerful and complex set of sources centered on Athol Fugard's only novel, Tsotsi.
That's right. We've got quite a stack here, excerpts from the novel itself, which are incredibly vivid, biographical details about Fugard, and also some really crucial historical context about the setting. Apartheid South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely essential context. So our mission today really is to unpack all of this material. We want to understand the world Fugard creates in the book, get a handle on the main character, Tsotsi himself, and try to figure out what makes this story resonate so deeply.
Exactly. It's about connecting those threads, isn't it? History, identity, and maybe even unexpected change.
So where do we start? The author seems key here. Athol Fugard. The sources describe him as one of the world's greatest living dramatists.
Yeah, mostly known for his plays, actually, a career spanning like 50 years. And his background, it's just fundamental to understanding Tsotsi.
Tell us a bit about that. He was born in the Eastern Cape, 1932.
Right near Middelburg. Father was English, mother Afrikaner. He grew up in Port Elizabeth and, crucially, spent a lot of his childhood with the black workers in his family's tea room.
Ah, so that early exposure. That must have been formative.
Profoundly. The sources really emphasize how this shaped his view on racial discrimination from a young age.
And you can see it in his writing.
Oh, definitely. The sources point out his dialogue. It's this richly idiomatic mix, English, Afrikaans, African languages. Apparently it's crafted to really signal social standing to someone who knows the South African context.
Interesting. And he saw that discrimination harden into apartheid.
Yes, and that became, according to the sources, the baleful energy behind so much of his work. He wasn't just observing apartheid. He felt its consequences deeply.
So when he came to write Tsotsi, he had real-world experience to draw on, not just observation.
Absolutely not just observation. He moved to Johannesburg in 1958, took a job, get this, as a clerk in a native commissioner's court, dealing specifically with past laws violations.
Wow, right at the sharp end.
Exactly. He's quoted in the sources saying that seeing the machinery in action taught him how it works and, in fact, what it does to people. It wasn't abstract at all.
And his understanding deepened even more through Sophiatown.
Right. The sources describe Sophiatown as Johannesburg's violent, colorful ghetto, a place of contradictions, tremendous poverty, but also a capacity for humor, bitterness, and hope. Vibrant, but scarred.
And that fed into his plays.
Directly. His early township plays, No Good Friday, Non-Go-Go, they came out of that. They were sort of workshop productions using local actors, amateur actors.
Exploring Sophiatown characters.
Yeah, archetypes, the jazz musician, the gangster, like Tsotsi the student, the shebeen queen, all showing how apartheid damaged people's lives.
So there's a core idea emerging from the sources here about how apartheid operated psychologically.
Yes, precisely. The idea that this unsparing regime of humiliation didn't just oppress, it aborted hope. And worse, it could drive the persecuted to turn on those lower down the survival chain.
Which leads directly to the character of Tsotsi.
Exactly. The sources present him as a product of this implacable process. You can't separate the character from the context.
Okay, so let's talk about that context. The figure of the Tsotsi and the world they inhabited. You mentioned the past laws.
Yeah, absolutely crucial. You really can't overstate their impact. They were designed specifically to stop black urbanization, control every aspect of movement.
So black Africans couldn't just, live or work where they wanted.
Not in the white areas, no. Unless you had a pass proving you were employed there. Without that pass, prison or worse, deportation.
Deportation to where?
To these designated jobless black rural homelands, basically dumping grounds, bleak.
And for young people, young men especially, in the townships.
Legitimate work. Very scarce. So many were forced into this underground existence, and for some, the most ruthless crime became a way to survive.
So who were these Tsotsis exactly?
Well, by the late 50s, when Fugard was writing, the sources call them a scourge. And importantly, they often preyed on fellow Africans, robbing, murdering, raping.
With impunity.
Largely, yeah. The authorities, their focus was elsewhere. The sources mentioned the constant ratissage of the pass raids, these massive, indiscriminate police sweeps. They targeted everyone, but didn't actually protect people from the Tsotsis.
So the image of a Tsotsi at the time, pretty terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. Like a force of unbridled violence, the sources say. Pitiless, unthinking as sharks. Shadowy figures from this unfathomable township world. Predators, killers. The sources even use this phrase, a superlative attention to mortal detail, and mention seeing victims in medical school with the neatest of wounds. Chilling stuff.
It really sets the stage for the novel's opening, which is pretty brutal. Gumboot Lamini on the train.
Yeah, it throws you right in. Friday night, train back to the township. Gumboot Lamini, just a guy, happy, thinking about going home, about someone named Maxalou waiting for a writing man.
But he makes mistakes, according to the sources.
3 key ones. First, he smiles. A big, noticeable smile, white as light. Tsotsi sees it. Second, he buys his ticket using money straight from his pay packet.
Forgetting the rule, don't let anyone see your money.
Exactly. And the third mistake, he tears open the packet right there on the platform to get a coin out, thinking he's safe in the crowd. Big mistake.
Because Tsotsi sees him.
Tsotsi sees him, follows him, uses the crush of people getting onto the train to close in.
And on the train.
Gumboot's trapped, can't move his arms in the crowd. Boston, one of Tsotsi's gang, is right there. And even then, Boston feels sick right through his brain as he takes the pay packet.
But it's Butcher who delivers the final blow.
Butcher, yeah, behind Gumboot, demonstrating that superlative attention to mortal detail, knows exactly where the heart is. Later, they find the weapon, the end of the bicycle spoke.
And Gumboot is just left there, dead.
Dead. And Boston's reflection afterwards is just stark. I had a little bit of it, so I was sick, and that big bastard had a lot, so he's dead. Just brutal efficiency.
So this introduces the gang. Tsotsi, Boston, Butcher, Diap. But even here, right after this violence, the sources suggest a shift is starting in Tsotsi.
It's subtle, but yeah, it comes out in this exchange with Boston. Boston asks him, kind of out of the blue, if he knows the word decency.
And Tsotsi just dismisses him.
Completely. Books and words. I wipe my backside with books and words. Says he doesn't know it. And Boston's reply is sharp. You wouldn't.
And Tsotsi pushes back.
Yeah, he demands a definition. And Boston says, it's why I was sick, Tsotsi. Sickness. Yeah, that's it, Boston says with this mirthless glee.
And this conversation actually affects Tsotsi.
It seems to. The sources say afterwards, Tsotsi feels this growing irritation with his gang. Their presence feels intrusive and encumbrance.
He hadn't felt that before.
Never like this, apparently.
Yeah.
He'd never been conscious of them like this before. Boston was always a bit different, sure. But now even Butcher and Diap feel wrong, even though they had done nothing different. Something's definitely stirring.
And then comes the catalyst.
Yeah.
The really big disruption. The baby.
The baby. Yeah. Completely unexpected. Tsotsi's out prowling, sees a young black woman, and he recognizes her fear instantly. Nothing else moved a human being the same way, the source says. She's clutching a parcel. A shoebox.
Like it's everything to her.
Her last hold on life itself. He grabs her, she screams, but his focus shifts immediately to the box. He lets her go. She looked at the box with this horror deeper than her fear of him.
And she just gives it to him.
Thrusts it into his hands. He's holding it clumsily, just staring at it. And she runs off into the white night, the moonlight.
So he takes it back to his place, this ruin he lives in.
Yes. Opens it and finds the baby. The description in the sources is quite graphic. Hands adrift like anemones, mouth open like a black hole, legs kicking. It's unsettling.
What does he even do?
Initially, just instinct. Hides it, leaves some condensed milk and a spoon nearby, sits down to think.
And the realization hits him.
Hard. This did not fit into the pattern of his life defined by that red thread of death. Suddenly, he's forced into new actions, buying milk, feeding, cleaning, hiding, things totally alien to him.
It throws him off completely.
And it scares him. He feels a strange, nameless fear. It conflicts directly with his whole identity.
Even buying the milk becomes this whole ordeal, right?
Oh, it's a fascinating scene described in the Strophas, almost darkly comic if it weren't so tense. He's outside Kasim, the Indian trader's shop, sort of lurking, pretending he wasn't there.
Kasim's terrified.
Understandably.
Yeah.
God forgive us, he thinks. Tries to placate Tsotsi, gives another customer extra tobacco. Tsotsi just bluntly demands baby milk.
Kasim has no idea what he means at first.
No. Tries to sell him condensed milk, then realizes Tsotsi can't even read the label. Tsotsi just grabs the tin and leaves.
Back in the ruin, he tries feeding it.
Yeah, punches holes in the tin with his knife, tastes the milk thick and cloying, feeds the baby spoon by spoon its greedy lips.
But then, the ants.
Ah, the ants. Another setback. He goes back later and finds the tin swarming. An unbroken, liquid brown mass of them.
Ugh.
His reaction is pure horror. Drops the tin, rubs his hands like crazy. The spoon's covered too. He loses faith in the condensed milk and in his own clumsy hands trying to care for this thing.
So this failure pushes him to a new plan.
It does. The sources say it connects to a memory fragment about Butcher teasing a woman. He decides he has to get the baby out of the box. It's full of stinking yellow muck by now, and wraps it in his coat.
And carrying the baby physically, that leads to the next big encounter.
Exactly. With Morris Tshabalala, the beggar. The sources actually give us Morris's perspective earlier, his pain, his question, why do I go on? Hating the money, but needing it.
And Tsotsi literally stumbles upon him.
Steps on his hand, yeah. And the sources suggest this happens because Tsotsi's mind is on the baby and also on the bitch that memory fragment will come back to.
This creates a conflict in Tsotsi.
A huge one. There's the old instinct, the lustful urge to prey on this vulnerable man, but alongside it, something new, a newfound sympathy. It actually pained him to see Morris crawling, thinking he was safe.
His instincts are pulling him in different directions.
Totally. Feet and heart pointing in opposite directions. He still feels resigned to the inevitable, thinks he's chosen Morris as his next victim.
But when Morris puts his money down...
Something snaps. Tsotsi sees the money, this lustrous heap. It feels like a justification for violence, but also so cheap, trying to buy life. He feels this sense of outrage.
Then he kicks the money away.
Kicks it away, not just for himself, the sources say, but for the other man's as well. A really significant moment.
Then they talk, and it's quite a conversation.
Incredibly powerful. Morris talks about his hands, how they used to hold life, picked nipples like berries. Tsotsi asks these really invasive, basic questions. How do you pee? Poop. Have you been with women?
And Morris's answers are just heartbreaking.
Simple, direct, about sitting up, bending forward, about women laughing at him. Then Morris turns it around, asks Tsotsi how he feels.
And Tsotsi admits it. I fell for you, man.
He does. Hesitantly but clearly. Morris's reply shows the harsh reality, though. If I had my legs and my sticks, I would have killed you. Then, despite that, he offers Tsotsi all his money.
And Tsotsi asks him what he knows. What truth does Morris offer?
Not hardship, surprisingly, but beauty, memory. Mothers love their children, I know. I remember they sang us songs when we were small.
Wow. And Tsotsi's response?
Absolutely chilling. A flat denial born from his own hidden trauma. They don't. I'm telling you, I know they don't. Then he just walks away.
That denial, they don't. It's the key, isn't it? To unlocking his past. His identity as David.
Precisely.
Yeah.
But before we dive into that flashback, the sources give us another glimpse of the township, something beyond the violence, the waterworks square.
Ah, right. The community tap.
Yeah, described almost like a character. Central, solitary, vital, hated sometimes, enjoyed others. People queuing all day, all night, buckets, basins, babies.
A meeting place.
A real hub. Strangers meet, faces are seen, there's talk at the tap, sometimes sweet as the water. And that amazing line, a baby is born between drops. Life goes on right there.
Shows a different side, doesn't it? Community, shared struggle, not just predation.
Exactly. It provides that counterpoint, resilience, shared humanity around this basic need. Okay, so back to Tsotsi's denial, that they don't about mothers loving children. It triggers the memories.
His childhood as David.
Yes. Fragments surface piece by piece. Comforting things first. The smell of wood smoke, his mother's voice. There's an old woman there too, respected, feared, never laughed, watched him closely.
A specific memory.
The salt tin. Standing on the bed to reach it. His mother calling him David. Hugging her. Her warmth.
And the old woman asking about his father.
Yeah. Does he look like him? And she tells David the story about his father returning one day. But the promise gets more desperate over time, a definite day, next month, next week, tomorrow. building this huge expectation in him.
And then, the raid.
The trauma, starkly described in the sources. Warning taps on lampposts, but too late. Door smashed open, savage thrust of shoulders, torchlights, police, enormous khaki-coated shadows, a merciless voice, "Pas Kafir."
His mother.
Dragged away, pleading for clothes. Her last words to him, "Don't cry, David." Pushed into the van, door slammed, bolted. He's alone. Utterly alone.
The aftermath sounds terrifying. The silence.
Profound silent after the chaos. Vans leave, voices shouting instructions fade. He waits. His mother promised she'd come back. He hears footsteps. Hope flares, but they pass. Just growing lonelier, calling for her, pain in his throat.
Until the old woman returns.
He hears footsteps, scratching like the bitch when she was a puppy. Another connection. It's her. She finds him, asks where is she, confirms police. He just cries, "Mother." She calls him Tula, snot-nose, kind of roughly comforting, stops him following her, puts him to bed. He cries himself to sleep.
But then she leaves him again.
Yes. Says she's going to find his mother, takes her dress. He wants to go too, but she says, "No, your father is coming." And that news, the sources say, hits him like ice-cold hands. Fear again. Terror.
And if father arrives.
David waits, watching the light. Soft knocking. A voice calls, "Tandi," his mother's name. A box is pushed in. David bolts to the backyard, hears voices confirming Tandi was taken.
Then the father's rage
Erupts. "Tandi!" Sounds of crashing inside, then footsteps in the yard. Chains rattle. That bitch from his fragmented memory snarls. A scream of dog pain.
Oh no.
The father's kicking the dog, still calling Tandi, "I'm come back." The bitch walks in circles, biting herself, drags herself to her shelter. David watches, frozen, as she gives birth to stillborn pups and dies. Flies. Stench.
That's horrific. That's the image seared into him.
The final trauma. He runs. Tears his hand on wire. Runs like a little animal being hunted. Night. Cold. Hungry.
Until he finds the other boys.
The ragged pack. They find him. Ask questions he can't answer. "Who are you? Where are you from? Got a mother? Father?"
And they recognize him as one of them.
"He won too. He's like us. Doesn't know nothing." They accept him. Take him to the warmth of the pipes by the river.
What was life like with them?
Harsh. Shared survival. Dividing food seriously. Talk of sickness. Simon's big belly. Talk of putting away Willie. They try calling David Willie, then Simon. He stops them.
This is where he learns to suppress identity.
Exactly. Learns about questions that had no meaning. Questions about who he was, where he came from. The pipes offer warmth, thawing the pain, but also bringing fragmented memories back. Don't go. Don't move.
He wants to escape the memories.
Feels this urgent desperation to go somewhere specific right away. Tries to climb the bank one night. PETA stops him, says, "I think it was home, but it's dangerous at night." Tells him about Joji, killed trying to go home. Gotta look in the day, like Sam, who found his mother.
So he stays, accepts their life.
Takes the bread, learns to scavenge, gets called Tsotsi by a shop owner. The name sticks. He learns the lesson. Questions about identity are meaningless. He buries David, becomes Tsotsi.
Okay, so fast forward back to the novel's present. He has the baby. He goes to find Miriam.
Yes. Returns to the township, hears the church bells, ding dong dong dong. Finds Miriam, remember the woman Butcher was teasing, the one he thought of when he needed help with the baby.
He basically forces her to help.
Drags her to his room, shows her the baby, tears open her blouse, commands, "Feed it, it's raw," desperate.
How does Miriam react?
Initially she moans, resists, but then she sees the baby, and instinct kicks in. The sources say she knows exactly what to do. Her movements become firm, assured.
Tsotsi just watches.
Watches, feels this all-enveloping satisfaction as she tends to the baby as it starts feeding.
And they talk.
Miriam speaks first, offers him bread, says, "When I first saw this little one, and I knew what you wanted, it was worse than if." She confirms he knows she has a man, Simon's father. He just says, "I know."
There's that detail later about her washing the baby's clothes.
Ah, yes. The whiteness, fluttering, brave as flags. And that one shirt catches his eye sleeves useless, collar fallen, as if the man had been decapitated.
A small detail, but suggestive of damage, maybe loss.
Then Miriam makes an offer.
Offers to take the baby, says it's sick, she'll look after it. Tsotsi's immediate reaction is violent. "I will kill her."
But he doesn't.
No. Her words, these soft woman sounds, they reach him, taking back his mother. What the hell does a man do with a mother? Was it really so? Had it really been him? The past is flooding back.
And then he speaks. Really speaks.
For the first time, really opens up. Tells her about the milk, the feeding attempts, the ants. So many words at once, the sources say. And she asks the big question. What are you going to do with him?
He says, "Keep him." She asks, "Why?" And that one word, why, floors him. He struggles with it. It's tied up with everything changing inside him, the end of hate, solving the riddle of the yellow bitch, the baby's hold on his life.
He doesn't have the answer yet, but the question itself is transformative.
Exactly. And around this time, he also reconnects with Boston.
Who he beat up earlier.
Badly. Finds him at Marty's place. Boston's a mess. Marty's furious, calling Boston a bloody dog, blaming Tsotsi. You're the one that did it. You worked him like he is.
Tsotsi takes responsibility, in a way.
Steps in. Leave him, he says, referring to Boston as him, almost possessively. He examines Boston's injuries, the thinness, swollen eye, broken nose, touches his chest, feels warmth like pain.
The sources give us Boston's backstory here too, don't they?
Yeah, a quick, tragic summary. Bright student. Expelled for attempted rape, his breaking point. Developed this philosophy. The whole bloody thing is one big mistake. Lied to his mother, got into crime via John Boy Lethetwa at the pass office, joined the gang.
The brains, but a coward.
Got sick after jobs, drank. Had a brief, maybe loving relationship with Marty, but it became part of his degradation. He was sick to his soul, broke up under police pressure. Her later coldness hurt him deeply.
And in this moment, Boston sees the change in Tsotsi.
He does. He tells Tsotsi, we're sick. All of us. From life. He feels Tsotsi's own anguish, looks him in the eye and says, you are different. Confirmation from the one person who might understand.
The Tsotsi is changing, grappling with his past, but still searching. Which leads him to Isaiah.
Isaiah, the church caretaker. An old man, stiff legs, white hair. His job, weeding, ringing the bell. Deals with Miss Marriott, the critical white woman who calls him a naughty boy.
Why does Isaiah ring the bell?
To call all the other people to believe in God, he says. Some are lazy, Father Ransom taught him.
Tsotsi seeks him out.
Finds him having tea by the blue gum tree. Asks about the bell. You've heard it. It's me, Isaiah says proudly.
And Tsotsi starts asking deeper questions.
Yeah. Why do you ring it? Tsotsi looks exhausted, visibly fighting exhaustion. Miss Marriott interrupts, says the grounds aren't a park, but Tsotsi can pray if he wants.
Tsotsi keeps probing Isaiah.
Asks if Isaiah goes inside the church. I ring the bell. That's as far as Holy Father Rancy got. His understanding is limited. Where is God? Tsotsi asked. Everywhere. Mostly inside there. What does he want? For people to be good. Stop stealing and killing and robbing. Why? Because it's a sin.
It's almost circular logic.
What's a sin? Robbing, stealing, and killing. What happens if you do that? Lord Jesus cries, will punish you, give you hell, kill you. Isaiah adds, maybe. It's a simple faith. Maybe not the profound answer Tsotsi seeks, but it's part of his search.
The sources mention this scene replaced one with the priest.
Yeah, Fugard apparently cut a scene with a direct confrontation with a priest. So this interaction with Isaiah serves that purpose, Tsotsi reaching for some kind of meaning, some understanding beyond the violence.
So if we trace this arc, it's quite a journey in a short time.
Incredible, really, from this nameless, passless killer living by your rigid, violent pattern, totally disconnected.
To someone forced by this tiny baby to engage, to feel fear, yes, but also sympathy.
Confronting his buried past, his actual name, David, seeking answers from Boston, from Isaiah, grappling with choice, with love.
His whole internal world is disrupted.
Completely. He can't just walk to stop thinking anymore. The thoughts keep coming. Baby, Boston, bitch, beggar. He knows there's no turning back, feels it's only the beginning, aware of these strange and sudden turnings.
The encounter with Morris seems pivotal in that.
Hugely. That sympathy he felt and the awesome discovery when Morris asked, why do you have to kill me? That question hits home.
Because it reveals choice.
Exactly. That's the absolute core realization the sources highlight. What felt inevitable, you chose a man, kept after him, was actually wholly dependent upon him and his choice.
An alternative existed.
Always. It wasn't just choosing the victim, but killing itself was a choice. That realization makes him tremble, anger, excitement. When and how had he made the choice in the first place? It reframes everything.
And Fugard's own notes, included in the sources, echo this.
They do. He talked about the idea of a criminal shrouded in darkness, then a stab of light and pain leading towards a full Christian experience, maybe symbolized by the search for meaning via Isaiah.
In the ending he envisioned.
A life saved. Initially, he thought maybe an old man Tsotsi saves, but it became the baby. Held and refusing to let go. Carried, cherished, love. Finding something precious after believing nothing is precious.
From nihilism, anarchy, hate, to value.
Value life. Love is found and clung to, guarded, cherished. That's Fugard's note.
Which brings us to the actual ending described in the sources, the demolition.
Yes. The bulldozers are moving in on the ruins where he's hidden the baby. He rushes back to save it. The wall collapses.
And his final act.
Pure selflessness. Throws himself on all fours over the child. Takes the first weight of falling brick. He's flattened out, smothering them both. Protecting the life that unlocked his own.
Wow. A devastating, but in a way redemptive end for David.
For David, yes. Not Tsotsi.
So wrapping up this deep dive into Athol Fugard's Tsotsi and the sources around it.
We've really covered a lot. The harsh reality of apartheid, how it created figures like the Tsotsi, and then this extraordinary journey of one man.
Yeah, tracing Tsotsi's path from that initial almost pure violence and nihilism.
Through encountering vulnerability, dredging up his own buried past, searching for some kind of meaning.
All leading to that final instinctive selfless act to save the baby. The life he just stumbled upon.
It's an incredibly powerful story these sources reveal. It makes you think about those huge societal forces, how they shape us, but also about our capacity for change. Sometimes incredibly rapid change.
Which leads perfectly into our final thought for you, the listener. The sources make a point of noting that Tsotsi's transformation happens in a really short time.
So the question is, what does that compressed time frame suggest about profound change? Is it always a sudden lightning bolt, a Damascus Road moment? Or could it be that years of buried pressure, hidden memories, underlying humanity are just waiting for the right catalyst, like a baby in a shoebox, to finally break through?
Something to definitely mull over. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.